guys, welcome back. Happy Tuesday and happy Halloween. This comes out on All Hallows Eve, the last day of October. Literally, I've made myself a hot chocolate to record this week's episode because I'm back from my holidays, and not that it was warm there, obviously, I was just in Europe, but I came back to full-blown winter, it feels like. So anyway, happy Halloween. But do you know, I hope you haven't got a scary one. I was thinking about this before I sat down to record. I was like, do you know, I haven't really done anything for Halloween this year. I always usually like dressing up and, I don't know, doing something. But obviously because I've been away, which no doubt I'll talk about in a second, but because I've been away, I did a little paint and sip. I don't know if anyone saw, I posted on my Love What Luck Insta. Me and Matt did like a little Halloween painting. That was fun. And obviously, like, I've put a couple of stuff around the flat, I've put a couple of stuff up around the flat. But yeah, because I've been away, I haven't actually done anything per se. Hopefully that's the saying. And then as I sat down, I was like, do you know what? Good for you, Sid, for not doing anything for Halloween this year, because I just don't want any of us to have any more scares. If you're anything like me, I just think we've been through enough already this year. I don't need any more type of scares or negativity. Like, there's nothing scarier than a 32-year-old woman teetering on the edges of mental breakdowns. And yeah, I don't want a scary Halloween this year. I'm going to have a very nice one. What am I going to be doing when this comes out? I'm going to watch Nightmare Before Christmas, which is my favourite Halloween film. No scares, all animated, nice bit of music, and gets you ready for Christmas. So yeah, cheers to that. That's my Halloween wish for us all this year. Yeah, if you listened to last week's episode, well, wherever, I'm sure you know somehow. I'm sure you're sick of it. But I went on the Orient Express for my mother, and it was everything that I dreamt it would be. Minus the cabin size. I did vlog it, so keep an eye out for that on YouTube. If you're not subscribed to my YouTube, the link's below, and you can link and you'll get a notification when the video comes out. But the cabins are very tiny, and that was the one thing I wasn't expecting. But everything else was just as magical, if not more, really, than I was expecting. It was like being in a film, honestly. It was so amazing. And I had a really nice message when I was there. It was an email off a listener, and she'd lost both her parents. And she was just saying, you know, have an amazing time with your mother, creating memories and stuff. And I think all of us, we're all really grateful, obviously, to our families and to our friends and wherever. I think everyone generally is obviously grateful for that stuff. But I think there's some moments in life that make you feel more gratitude than usual, and this trip was one of those moments for me. Like, my mother, she was on last week's episode, as she said, she had me when she was 40, so she's like a little bit older. Obviously none of my friends' parents are as old, I don't think, no offense, ma'am. But yeah, she's 72. Like, my sister has obviously got the same mother. And she's 12 years older than me. Do you get me? So obviously I've got like an older parent, I suppose. And I think even that added to my gratitude that my mother is thankfully, you know, healthy and is young still in her mind. Like, we were drinking, we got so drunk on the dinner night on the Orient Express. We were sat at the dinner table, and you get free drinks when you're having your dinner. So they just keep topping up your wine. You can have champagne, wine, wherever, right? So we were on the wine. Well, I have to preface this by saying I was on the champagne all day. That's pretty much, if you ever go on the Orient Express, pretty much you drink champagne all day. It started, what time was our train from Victoria? We went on the Bellman train, which was also fab. I'm not going to be talking all episode about this, sorry guys, but wherever time I started this, say it was like 12 o'clock or something, I drank champagne all day. And then we went for dinner, and the waiter was just topping us up. Then we went into the bar. Waiter gave us a free round of drinks. We were just loving it. And I was looking at my mother, and I was like, how nice is it that I can just come and just get pissed, basically, with my mother on the Orient Express. So yeah, it was really nice. And I think my little message of the week that I'm coming on to say is, if, you know, obviously you don't have to go on holiday with your parents or something, but I'm so glad that I got that moment, or those memories, I should say, with my mother. And we both text each other after, you know, just saying how much we loved her and stuff. And I think it's nice, like, if you're listening to this, I think a little message or like a feeling of gratitude for all you've got in your life actually goes such a long way. And yeah, I think if you're feeling grateful for somebody or a memory that you had with somebody, then you should let them know, because life is very short. Wow, I didn't expect to go this deep straight in. Sorry, guys. I'm like, happy Tuesday. No scares this Halloween, but let me come in deep and make you cry. No. But yeah, I just think sometimes it's nice to just express it, because it's very easy to go about your everyday life feeling down or letting little stuff get you or not having time for certain people. Like, obviously I'm guilty of it as well. Sometimes I'll say to my mother, yeah, I'll ring you when I'm home, and then I come home and I've got to do the washing, and I don't know, I've got to cook dinner and whatever it is, and then I'm like, oh, sorry, I'll ring you tomorrow. And sometimes I just think it's nice to just have those moments where you're like, shit, I'm actually really grateful to be here. Obviously, this might be spurred on by the fact that Matthew Perry has passed away, sadly. And I watched that happen in live time. I couldn't sleep, classic me. So I was on TikTok, which I don't advise anyone to do, because it just keeps you up for even longer. Such a stupid thing for me to do. Usually I would read, but whatever. And I was scrolling on TikTok and I saw somebody post he'd passed away, and I honestly didn't believe it, because, you know, people do those rumours that people die. Like, what was the Sean Kingston rumour? As far as I'm aware, Sean Kingston is alive and kicking, but there was definitely rumours swirling for about 2 years that he passed away. I think he was in a bad jet ski accident, but he never died. Am I mixing up two things here? Because I know Usher's son passed away on a jet ski accident. I don't know. All I'm saying is there was rumours that Sean Kingston died for years. So anyway, when I saw Matthew Perry, I scrolled past, and there was only like, I scrolled another one and it said again. I was like, what? As I Googled it, it like just happened. So yeah, that's very sad. And I think that kind of added to my little message this week of saying, yeah, just show your gratitude to the people that make you feel happy and loved. Okay, let's get into it. Sorry guys for starting on such a deep emotional and personal note. Anyway, so last week I did the episode on invisible thread, yeah, which is basically the theory that the person that's meant for you, and I'm taking it as friends as well, because I think, as I said last week, like, it's special when you meet a friend. But your friend or somebody you get in a relationship with, wherever, if they're meant to be in your life, there'll be an invisible thread tying you through your life. And basically, they'll always be like in the background until the timing is right for you to meet and get together, yeah? And I asked you guys to send in any stories, and we got one. So I'm just going to start by reading that. She said, I've thought about messaging you so many times and I've got around to it. She completed the 3 peaks, so well done. And that's when she was binging the episodes. Okay, anyway, she says, I am 3 years in with my boyfriend and currently renovating our first home together and excited for our future. After listening this morning, I wanted to share. He's originally from London and then moved to my area. And even though he's a few years older, we went to the same primary school and the same secondary school. We had many friends in common. His dad regularly shopped in my uncle's butcher shop, and we recently realised his sister was at my cousin's wedding 16 years ago, and me and her in photos together. So strange. So she'd met his family, he'd met her family, they're in the same schools, but then they met when you're older. Imagine how weird that is, going on a date with somebody and then finding out all these hidden things. I'd be like 100% you're my husband, you're my soulmate, you're the one I've been waiting for, and we're gonna have to get married, and that's it, done deal. I'd be like that on date number 1. I'd be ringing my mother after, and all the girls like, his father used to shop in my uncle's butchers, he's meant to be. But I actually don't believe it. I actually think all that stuff is crazy. And yeah, I'm just glad we got a little story from a listener that proved, well, it's not my theory, but it's definitely a theory I believe. That proved it right. And yeah, as always, If you've got a story you want to share, then please send it in, and please like, subscribe, follow, etc. Get the word of mouth out about the podcast, because then it means that we can get some more stories in. And yeah, I'm running low on stories actually. I know I've got a couple to go through that are long, that obviously because I've been away I haven't been able to do it properly. But yeah, if you've got a story, a nice love story, guys. Actually, did I tell? No, obviously I haven't told you because I haven't been here. It's because I mentioned on Instagram. But I saw a wedding proposal in Venice. So basically, when I went last year to Venice for the first time, I must have mentioned it on a podcast episode, I absolutely loved it. I went with my boyfriend and I was so happy there. I cried. I just thought it was the most magical place, right? And we found this place on St. Mark's Square, and there was a band playing and playing music, and he asked me what song I wanted, and I requested Frank Sinatra. I'm so sorry if you've heard this story a million times before, but I requested Frank Sinatra, The Way You Look Tonight, because I love that song from the film First Daughter. Did anyone ever watch that film with Katie Holmes? It was like such a cheesy film, but when I was younger, my father used to buy me these DVDs, and because obviously I'm old, there was no Netflix or any of that stuff, so you just had to watch what you were given. So any film that I liked that my father bought me on DVD, I just used to have to rewatch it about 15 million times, and First Daughter was one of them, so I know it very well, and I used to love it. And they dance at the end to the song, Someday when I'm awfully low. Anyway, Frank Sinatra, The Way You Look Tonight is a very nice song, and I've loved it for years, right? And I asked for that song and I cried. They played it. Oh my god, I was so happy. Anyway, fast forward to this year, I'm like, man, we have to go there, but also I want to go to Cafe Florian for croissants or whatever, because it looks nice. Anyway, go to Cafe Florian. Turns out it's the same bloody place. I was outside for drinks before in the night time, and this time I wanted to go in the day. Anyway, so I'm sat there and the band start to play Bruno Mars, I Think I Want to Marry You. And I was like, oh my god, this song is so cute. So I'm videoing it. And then prior to this video, I'd seen a huge bouquet of red roses being carried around by the waiter, and I didn't click. Anyway, it turns out the band were playing there, the waiter was bringing the flowers, and there was a proposal. And it was the most romantic, lovely thing. I just thought, how perfect is that to be sat in Venice and have that band playing and then get proposed to. And the guy has got a photographer, which I always think is like top marks when they get a professional photographer. So yeah, super cute. And I can't remember what the point was of me telling you this. Oh yeah, sorry, that was it. I was saying, oh yes. So obviously I posted this on my social media, and a guy commented, in 2 years' time you'll be reading a story. And I was like, oh, I hope so. And then I realised that what he meant was, in 2 years' time they're going to be broken up and you're going to be reading a breakup story. And I didn't want that to happen, obviously. So yeah, my point was, even if you've got a nice love story, guys, I always think people think that they're a bit boring. Like, oh yeah, I met somebody and I fell in love and now we're super happy. But we need them. I like the good and the bad year. So yeah, if you've got any stories, please send them over. I know I've still got a couple to get through. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, bitch, you haven't responded to me, I will get around to you. I feel like I see a lot of things online that basically preach, if somebody does this, leave them. If somebody does that, leave them. And other people that, we've had messages on you before from people saying, like, I don't know what to do. Should I leave? Should I stay? And I think it's quite common, but I think when you actually look out there, there's actually not much around on actual tips of how to make those decisions about whether you should stay or you should leave. Like, if you go on TikTok, everyone tells you to leave, everyone on there. And it's the same sometimes with certain podcasts or certain video clips or whatever. But basically, that therapist I said that I like on Twitter, I follow her on Instagram now as well. She's called Dr. Nicole LePera. She did this thread that I found, and I thought it was actually really helpful, because not everything is black and white, and if somebody does this, do this. So if you feel down, then leave. And I think sometimes that's why we are in a situation where so many of us are like saying we can't find anybody, because we're always looking for something perfect. And basically, I just thought it was helpful, so that's what I'm going to share this week. So she said, one of the most common questions I get is, when is it time to end a relationship or move on? Here are some questions to ask yourself to find that answer. And basically this woman, she spent years doing couples therapy. So yeah, she knows her stuff. So she says you need to ask yourself, and I think we can also do this. I never want to like do this podcast, people that are only in a relationship or people that are only single. So I think it applies to any relationship. I always say that with friendships or with people that you have work relationships with, wherever. If you're in a crossroads, then you can ask yourself these. Number 1, am I okay if nothing about this person changes? So would you be okay still having this person in your life if nothing ever changed with them? Because I think lots of the time we tell ourselves that somebody will change, or they only did this because of a certain circumstance, and when that circumstance changes, they'll change. So you need to ask yourself, because sometimes that doesn't happen, they never change. You need to ask yourself, would you be okay if it stayed as it is forever, or if they stayed as they are forever? If the answer is no, has this person expressed a willingness or interest in changing or working on themselves? Again, I think you need that, because sometimes I do think people just think or assume the other person will change just because you've said that you don't like something they've done or you're not happy or whatever. But actually they need to express an actual interest and say that they're going to, and actually mean it. Question number 3. Has the person told you directly or indirectly that they cannot, will not, or are uninterested in doing any work? For example, this is the way I am, take it or leave it, or you knew I was like this when you met me. Number 4. When I close my eyes and visualize the relationship or my partner, what sensations do I have in my body and what thoughts do I have? Do you feel sensations of safety and peace, or stress and chaos? Number 5. How is our mutual communication during conflict? Do I feel seen and heard? Does my partner feel seen and heard? Number 6. Does my partner support my dreams, goals and ambitions? Do I support theirs? Are our values aligned? Hopefully I'm not going too fast. Number 7. Does my partner follow through on their word, and do their words match their actions? If the answer is yes, this is a sign of trust in the relationship. I think that goes back to the earlier question where you need to know that I think a sign of people saying they're going to change is obviously saying they're going to do something than actually doing it. So if they're actually going on their word and you say, look, I really wish we could spend more time together. It makes me feel down when I feel like you go out with the boys every weekend and that's the only day you've got to see me. If he then say, the next weekend or the weekend after says, actually, do you want to do something tonight instead? Then that's a really good sign. But if they just keep going out with the boys, or like another classic one is if they like loads of girls' pictures on Instagram and you say, look, this makes me feel shit, and they just like, well, this is what I'm like, this is the way I am, and they continue to do it, that's not a good sign. But if they say, okay, I understand that annoys you, I don't need to do it, and then they actually make a change to not do that, then it's a good sign. Which I think this stuff, right, is missed out on all those videos you see. Because the videos just say, if he likes somebody's Instagram, leave him. Or if he doesn't want to spend time with you, leave him. Or I don't know, what's the other ones you always see? Like, if he, the biggest one I'm seeing at the minute for some reason is what they do for people's birthdays. And I watched a video the other day of a girl opening the door and her boyfriend had filled her whole room with balloons and was playing the app music. It was the most amazing video. And then all the comments are, if he wanted to, he would. Ladies, if your man doesn't do this for you, then leave him. And I'm like, well, none of my mans has ever done that for me. Should I leave? Does it mean they don't love me? And in the dead of the night, sometimes when you're scrolling through that TikTok, and if your mood's a little bit off and you know, a little bit hormonal, or you've had a bad day, then you could be thinking, my boyfriend's shit because he's never done that for me. But this is what I think is missing, is if you then said to your boyfriend, look, I feel like you don't make that much of an effort on my birthday, or you could word it like, I loved when you bought me that really nice present, or when you took me for dinner for my birthday 2 years ago, it'd be really nice to do that again. If they then are willing to make a change, or they say, look, I'm sorry you felt like that, yeah, and it's good communication, then you can stay with them. You don't have to leave them if they don't fill your room with balloons. I'm just seeing a lot of it on social media at the minute, guys. And I think we have so much comparison in social media for everything else. How we look, where we go, like what we do for work, what we should wear. There's so much pressure, I think, especially as a girl. And now I'm feeling it. I don't know if it's because I'm so interested in relationship stuff that a lot of it comes up on my TikTok. But now I feel like that's getting pushed a lot. And yeah, I just don't think it's a good message to spread, because not everyone is going to be perfect. Not everyone's going to do everything for you. Like, that guy might have done the best birthday present for her, but he might never take the rubbish out for her. And she might ask time and time again, will you please help me clean this week? And he might never do it. You know, it's like little things, and you've got to remember people only put online what they want you to see, etc, etc. So I just want to keep it real with everybody this week, and we're going to go back to the questions now. What you should do is, do you know what? I'm going to write these in the bio. So if you're actually seriously thinking about leaving somebody or ending a friendship, I'll write them down below. Just look in the bio and you can get them. Okay, so the last one was a very pointless time for me to stop, because this is the last one. Number 8, do my partner's overall actions demonstrate that they have my best interest at heart? Note, all of us will be hurt, let down and disappointed by our partners. The key here is to look at this on a wide macro scale. Preach it. But then she does say, obviously, no one except you will know when a relationship should end, but these questions might be helpful. So yeah, I don't know, I saw those, and I think it's just helpful to remember sometimes that it's not all black and white and clear cut. I also think a good thing to do is to like ask yourself these questions when you're in a clear mindset. Not like people always say, don't make decisions when you're down or wherever, when you're hungry. I don't know if that's a real thing, but you shouldn't, because hunger is a real emotion. But yeah, sometimes I think before we have these like conversations, wherever, you have to ground yourself. Like I've been saying for a while that I just haven't felt like myself, and I don't really know why. I think the main thing is the job. Like, I barely slept, actually, since I've been back. And I think that's, like, not so much news, but, like, a little bit of apprehension for the new job and for change and stuff. And I think I'm just excited to, as I said last week, like, have a new start and stuff. Because I kind of feel like I have lost my spark. I don't know if anyone can relate to that. And again, I was looking into this, and basically I read that it's a very common symptom of burnout. So losing your spark generally, this is what the research tells me, is when you kind of lose interest in things that would normally bring you joy. You're a little bit more harsh on yourself. And obviously for me, I can tell that I'm feeling that because I've stopped posting podcast stuff on social media. I have stopped eating healthy completely. I've done very, very little exercise. And that to me is always a sign that I'm feeling a bit down. And like last week, right? And you know, I'm not one to preach talking down on yourself. I've been that girl before that's looked in the mirror and criticised hair, skin, weight, anything, makeup. Like, I've been that girl. I know her. And I don't want her to return. I'm not about that life. I'm never going to preach to you. You know, I always think you've got to talk about yourself highly. But also, I'm not delulu enough to not realise that last week, quite frankly, I looked like an ogre on that episode with my mother. I didn't put the light on because I didn't want her to feel uncomfortable, because it can be quite hot and bright if you're not used to it. And when I watched that video back, I was like, I cannot possibly physically put this video on the internet to the 60 people that probably watch it. As if I've got millions of followers. But still, I was like, I physically cannot do it. And I'm not going to be harsh on myself. But I just have to have an understanding that that's just not okay to go out there to the masses. I look a little bit like grotesque, I suppose is the word. But even in those moments, I'm like, this is not usually, like, I've done so much work to not think like that about myself. Sorry guys, my camera knocked off then, so this is going to sound a bit choppy. But yeah, basically I was saying that I've done enough work on myself to not think like that. So when I feel these little things creep back in, then I can tell something isn't quite right. And yeah, I was just thinking, I don't know, I think it happens to everyone. Like, everyone obviously feels maybe just not like themselves, I would say. Yeah, I think in those moments it's important to ground yourself. And as I said, like, bring the gratitude in wherever. Why am I on a self-help vibe today? Can somebody tell me? This is what happens when I don't have a long story, guys. I'm just rambling on. It's like an inner monologue. I can only apologise. But I do think it's important stuff, because I think everybody feels like this. Surely I'm not the only one that sometimes just, well, I know I'm not the only one. I see people online talking about it. Sometimes just don't feel like yourself. My friend messaged me being like, because I hadn't responded to a message, and she was like, are you okay? You know, and I was like, I just don't feel like myself. But what was the point of me telling her this? I just feel like I know the spark's coming back. I could feel it on holidays that I felt, you know, ready to get back into the digital world. I'm going to post this no matter what. And yeah, I had some really nice messages off you guys, which I always feel like I have to say thank you on here for, because one, I hate when I start to reply to a message and it always friggin' starts with sorry for the delay. I'm absolute worst for it. I cannot wait for that to be out of my life when I have more time to reply. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, I just don't feel like I can ever get across in a message how grateful I am for a nice message. Like, somebody messaged me, one of you guys messaged me saying, you know, promote the shit out of what you're doing. You don't need to be harsh on yourself. I love it, love your content, wherever. And those little things, like, they do really help. So yeah, what was the point of this? I think the point is that I start my new job this week. And I feel like it's going to change my life, and in turn it'll change yours, because I'm just going to have more time for anything. But yeah, if you're feeling like that, I think hopefully something in this episode will have helped you. Right, let's pick it back up with something amusing that, again, I saw on TikTok. I sound like all I do is go on TikTok. I don't. But, you know, it is addictive. Anyway, I found this thread and I thought it was really funny, right? And I don't know, I would love actually to ask you guys, let me do this as an Insta question again, because this really cracked me up, right? So, because I do this as well. So there's this girl, and anyone that she hooks up with or dates, whatever, she saves the number in her phone under kind of a story. So I do this with nicknames. Like, if I meet you somewhere, I'll automatically put your name and then where I've met you. Yeah, I literally did it with my friend that I met in work. I put her name and then the place we work together, and then I ended up sending her a screenshot the other day, and she was like, as if I'm in as that. And I was like, yeah, there's literally no excuse for it, but that's just what I do. Anyway, this girl took it a step further, right? And this is what she saved the people that she had been on dates with in her phone as. Left a turd in the toilet the second time we hooked up. And then in the notes part, she's put, I couldn't recover from that, unfortunately. I could not either. I'm all well and good if you've got to go to the bathroom, needs must, but please don't leave that in there for me. It's a step too far. I saw him climbing a big rock once, and in the notes, he jumped into a lake after, feet first. I can't explain this one, but just trust me. That's a bit harsh. But the feet first thing randomly I do get. Yelled at his mother on the phone. In notes, I wouldn't stand for this. I agree with that. That's an instant no from me. Spun a bottle of lube around like he was bartending. It was banana flavoured. No, there's no need for that. To be fair, there's no need to even like bring the lube out visible. For me, I find lube, if you've got to use it, something discreet, you go in, whatever. It doesn't need to be spun round like that, certainly no. He referred to me as babe within the first week of texting and then followed up with, yeah, I used the B word. I don't think that's bad at all. Each to their own. Somebody called me babe the first week. I think that's fine. Somebody I could meet out, and if I fancied them, then gave my number and they said, hey babe, I'd be like, hey, yeah, that doesn't bother me. Showed me a bunch of pics he took of himself looking off into the distance. We dated for another 3 years, she said. No, that would make me cringe. This is a definition, I think, of like, if you fancy him or if the chemistry is good, you will overlook certain stuff. Because I'm sorry, I was that not as bad as calling in somebody babe. As somebody called me babe, as I said, I could handle. As somebody showing me an album of pictures of them looking in the distance, depends what the context is, but I think that would be a bit of an ick. Would text me around 11:30 a.m. saying, good morning, honey. Saying, good morning, honey. She said, sir, I've been at work since 7, lose my number. That's a good one. That's like something my friend would be like. If somebody messaged at 11:30 and they just waking up, she'd be like, no. Put on a Star is Born soundtrack and sat on the porch with a bottle of whiskey. Such long names in the phone. In note, she said, in the middle of a fight, do what you gotta do, I guess. That sounds like me. I love a good playlist. When I'm in my feels, as I've probably said a million times. Yesterday when I came home, guys, I was home alone and I put on a sing-along playlist. I had the time of my life. By myself, singing, moving around, bit of dancing as I was cleaning. And I just thought, what a time. What a time. Sparks gone who? Because she was back last night, 100%. Yeah, they were really funny anyway. So I'm going to put that on my Instagram. I'm not sure actually if I'll have many answers. But yeah, maybe we'll find some more funny ones that we can laugh at because it's been quite a deep episode this week. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. As always, please like, follow, subscribe, share, leave me a review, all the rest of it. And once again, I do really appreciate all your messages. I'm sorry that it sometimes takes me a little while to get back to you. But honestly, they mean so much to me. And every single time I have a nice one, I'm not lying, I could burst into tears. Every time I can feel it. Sometimes that's why I don't answer them straight away. If I can see like the start of a message, I know it's nice. I'm like, I can't open this on the tube. Or, you know, as I'm out to dinner or something, because it might set me off. I just feel like a very big level of gratitude when I get those messages. So yeah, I do really appreciate them and I appreciate everyone listening. And guys, I don't know why I'm so deep. I think next week will be my adjustment week, and then the week after, we're plain sailing. We're plain sailing into happiness. I'm finally going to record in my other space I've mentioned about 3 times, and every time you're tuning in being like, this bitch is still on the cream settee. No. I'm excited, and yeah, it's going to be November next week, guys. It's pretty much Christmas. So yeah, have a good week, and I'll speak to you next Tuesday.